back in the office now. I'm back in the UK. Well, spare bedroom office. Have been for a week now, but took a little bit of time last week just to get back into the swing of things. A few things needed ironing out back at home because it's busy. It's busy when you sort of away and stuff gets left, and it's still only me, running the core of the business. So a lot of parts work on their own, but just a few things needed ironing out. So I took some time to do that, and didn't really want to film a week that felt a little bit boring to me. But I feel, even though I was only out for 2 weeks, it becomes not becomes your personality, but you feel like almost in a bubble out there, and it makes you realise the opportunities, even the market out in Australia. I don't think I was perhaps fully aware of how health conscious and how health forward Australians are as at least a young population. I mean, first morning when I picked up the car in Bondi at about 6 a.m. Streets are just filled with people running. Ever since being in Australia, orders to Australia have shot up. There's so much more interest around the brand in Australia. I'm already in talks with a medical group out there, a private medical group, about bringing the products over, prescribing the products to their patients. They've got 80,000 patients on their database currently. And it's sort of eye-opening to the fact that there's real potential for a market out there for Headstrong, I think. And obviously there's so much more of the world out there beyond just where you are right now, which seems like an obvious thing to say, but I suppose sometimes you feel like you have to go through that experience to get a full understanding of it. So it's interesting. The US too is something that I thought about. I think those are US, Australia, sort of Western markets, probably two bigger markets for Headstrong. I think Europeans, Germany, but other sort of European countries, maybe perhaps slightly more relaxed lifestyle. It doesn't really fit with Headstrong as a product, but then again, there's always outliers, and there's great fitness and health communities in those countries too, obviously. I spent some time with some incredible people out in Australia, which I feel very lucky to have done so, and had some really amazing, incredibly valuable conversations. And there's a realize it's something that I spoke about before actually, but the power of connections and network and conversations, and how across those 2 weeks that I was there in Australia, I did significantly less work. I perhaps worked for an hour a day, even less sometimes, just getting the basics done. But the brand was propelled forward so much more because of these connections that you make with people. I spent time with fantastic entrepreneurs who have, gone on to connect me with, whether it might be big retailers or potential investors, but you have to move within those circles to be able to make those connections. And equally, there's you see these people who people look up to on social media, who they've built fantastic businesses, and they live this lifestyle that people want to lead and people want to copy, and many people try to fabricate that on social media, and I don't think you can. I think you have to really live it authentically and everyone can see that now. Everyone can see authenticity straight away online, and you really have to live what you preach, almost, if that's the for less for a better term, I suppose. But the value of these connections, and I sat in, out there in Australia, I sat in rooms where, the combined net worth was probably billions, or, and anyone in the room had at least 10 years on me. And I was by far the poorest person in there, which is a good thing, it's sort of, not a proud moment, but it's sort of a nice moment that, these, I'm on the right path, being around these people and getting support for the brand by people like that is such a powerful thing. Yeah, it's a good indication that I'm moving in the right direction. Definitely. I have also had some thoughts around product. Whilst I've been out there, I had some great conversations with people and founders who've done similar things. Grace and at Pure Swell, we had sat down for ages whilst we were out there and chatted about product and the issue with capsule. I've come to realise that the issue with capsules is that they will never be an experiential product or a sexy product at that, and it's a capsule doesn't lend itself to shareability online, and it's a serious product. And I think to perhaps take the brand to the next stage, there needs to be an element of new product development into something that is more experiential than capsules. I had this moment. I was sat at Singapore airport on the way back, and Ross from Cadence had given us a Australia bottle, a special edition Australia bottle, and I had that in my luggage, and I filled it up with water, and then I was sat there waiting for the plane, and I teared the Cadence electrolyte sachet, poured it in, and shook it up. And I realised that, in that moment, I was like a walking billboard, basically. I had 2 Cadence products, and I was, going through this experience, and then I drink it, and I taste it, and it tastes good. And it's just so much, it sounds simple, but it's true. It's so much more of an experience. And, people could see me doing that. They could see the name on the bottle, they could see the name on the pouch, and capsules aren't quite like that. Although I've intentionally made my pouches, tiny so they can fit into anything. I fit them into, the pouches that you take on in your hand luggage, that sort of stuff. But equally, it's a quick thing. Pull the capsule out and take it. Not that I'm not going to make electrolytes or anything like that, but I think there needs to be an element of product development beyond. We're still within the mushroom realm. I'm still keen to keep it within the mushroom realm, but beyond from capsules. And I'm already. I've already been working on this for the past week. In fact, I've got a first in-person meeting yesterday. Yes, tomorrow. In regards to new product development, which is it's expensive. It comes with costs, but it's worth it. I also think I'm probably going to raise some money. Like I said, just being out there, it opens your eyes up to new markets, new retail opportunities, and there needs to be a certain element of more capsule in there to do it at least effectively. You can't enter into a new market and make any sort of noise with 50k, really. So I think hopefully that'll happen. But again, it needs to be right for me. I'm really set on that. I don't want to raise from VCs or have any overarching figure looking over the top of me that I have to give justifications to as to why I'm doing this, that, and the other. And I also want people that can bring greater value to the brand in terms of connection. So ideally, I'm looking for private investors, people that have real skin in the game as entrepreneurs, really, and want to back upcoming startup brands, not just people that are involved in the story and people that like the product, not just they're in it for the pay at the end.